whatever. They say they'll refund a month's worth of credit, which is not honestly all that much. It's a couple dollars. It's really affordable hosting, which is probably why it crashes so much. There's like gerbils in a cage on a wheel where they get the whole thing run. All right. Let's talk about Max a little bit. Then we're going to take Max and stretch it outward. Last week, what were we talking about? What brought us to this point?
His shoes.
His shoes, that was the last thing we were talking about. But what brought us to this point? What was the bigger idea of which Max and his shoes were apart?
Binomial random variable.
Thank you, Katie. The binomial random variable. We started talking about what's called a binomial random variable. What brought us to that was talking about a random variable in general. A random variable in general. And a random variable in general is essentially a table of some kind that keeps track of an experiment. It keeps track of the number of times you can be successful in an experiment, and it keeps track of how likely that is. An organized method of keeping track of likelihoods. Thank you. That was perfectly said. A binomial random variable. Trey, go ahead.
This actually made me look this weekend. We've got a pool in our neighborhood.
You do?
Yes. And there's tons of little kids running around.
Mm-hmm.
And just about every one of them had shoes on backwards, just like that. Oh. And maybe like 2 total out of like maybe the 15 that I saw actually had their shoes on the right.
What were their age range? Do you have any idea?
They vary between like probably 2 and 5.
Oh, right in there. Right in here. Oh, this is great. Hold that thought if you don't mind. I'm going to come back to that at the end of this little experiment. Thank you. Good. See, I'm infecting you guys. This is great. In your heads. So, binomial. Tell me about a binomial random variable. What makes it binomial? Why is it called binomial?
2 possibilities.
2 possibilities. Thank you, Stephen. Max either gets his shoes on the correct feet or he doesn't. He either gets his shoes on the correct feet or he doesn't. I buy a bird at the store. It's either a boy or a girl, male or female. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. So, binomial means you got 2 outcomes. All right. When I set the experiment up for Max, you might remember this from last time. Oops. I watched Max and noted his Crocs on his feet 10 times over the course of the summer. Why is that important? Why is that 10 important? In order to be a binomial, you have to have a fixed number of trials for the, thank you, Jen. For those of you who did the Gambler's Ruin quiz from last week, which I will get back to you ASAP, that was called a geometric distribution, not a binomial. I'll come back to that, because if you think about it, theoretically speaking, there's no top end on a geometric. You can keep betting and keep losing, theoretically. But if I set out to watch Max 10 times, that's it. I'm done at 10. Whatever happens, happens in that 10. I don't keep watching him until he puts his shoes on correctly. I observe him for a fixed number of trials, just like Gallup. When they call you and say who you're going to vote for in the upcoming election, they know they're going to ask 1,500 people. Or they're going to call until they get 1,500 people, whatever it takes. A lot of people hang up on them, which is, data collection gets tricky. If they need, say, 1,500, a lot of times they have to start by assuming they're going to try to get 15,000, because very often there's a 10% rate of return on a lot of those surveys. How many of you guys have hung up on one of those? You see the caller ID, Democratic National Council, just hang up on them because you don't want to talk to them. That happens all the time, and you're not alone in doing that. So if you need to get 1,500, you very often have to overshoot to get that 1,500. But you know you need that, so it's a fixed number of trials. Beautiful. So that's it. Fixed number of trials, fixed number of trials, and 2 outcomes per. So what I wanted to do, and what Trey was obviously interested in at the pool this weekend, was I want to know if Max is guessing when he puts the shoes on his feet. I want to know if he's guessing when he puts the shoes on his feet. So, I haven't talked about this yet. I haven't talked about my results yet, because I watched him 10 times and I kept track of did he get his shoes on the correct feet or not. So what I want to do is I want to analyze the entire distribution first. I gave you guys a gift last time. It's called dist fill. Let's get dist fill in the machine and then use it to talk. Who didn't get dist fill last time? A few of you didn't. You guys